So I've lived in Washington for about 10 years now, and one of the biggest things that happens every year is Seafair. It's basically this giant midsummer party where millions of people gather around Lake Washington to party, watch jet boat races, and even watch a big air show that includes the Blue Angels and a bunch of other cool aircraft. So that's what I'm gonna go do today, and I'm taking you with me. I've never shot Seafair before, so this will be fun. So here's how it went down. We hit up a couple different locations around Seattle to catch the Blue Angels in action. And we went on Thursday, which is practice day, so it's a little bit special. They take a different line than they normally would during the show, and they actually fly right over downtown Seattle. So that's where we're able to get some really cool shots of the Skyline in the background and the Space Needle as well. And that's why the first stop was Kerry Park, where the goal was to get the jets in front of the Skyline with the Space Needle in the background and just this really cool juxtaposition. And then we headed over to Lake Washington where the show actually happens so we could catch them flying low over the water. Each spot is very different, and I'm excited to show you how it all played out. I was rolling with my Nikon Z8, my trusty 70-200, my 200-500, and I was going to test out a new lens, a 180-600. And I was pretty excited about it, and I'm happy to say that it lived up to all the hype I'd heard. It was a fantastic lens. I was shooting photos and videos that day, and for you, I'm excited to share some tips and tricks along the way. I met up with my buddies Darren and Hassan. They're both killer photographers and the perfect partners for this adventure. I was hoping to check a couple things off my bucket shot list, and if I was lucky, I might get shockwaves and afterburners, maybe the F-35B. And if you haven't seen the bucket shot list video, I'll link it above. All right, that's enough talking. Let's roll. Traffic in the city was just chaos, absolute chaos. I'm not used to that. It was a little overwhelming, and I just wanted to run back to my little town and never go back. The first stop was to pick up the lens, and this went mostly smooth. Do you want to know what they charged me as a deposit? Can you guess? It was $1,600. Pretty crazy, right? If you're gonna rent a lens from anywhere, just do it from like lensrentals.com. They don't charge a deposit. You can get insurance, and it's just easy. The lens itself, I absolutely loved it. The focal range is really good. I actually got an extra 120 millimeters over my 200-500. The clarity and sharpness is amazing for the price. And the focus ring only takes a quarter turn to go from 180 to 600, where my 200-500 here, watch this. It takes a lot. And it's a big lens, and this one telescopes out, where that one actually is all internal, so it doesn't do this. You don't have to worry about dust getting inside or anything like that. But that lens was amazing. To be completely honest, Kerry Park was just okay. There was a lot of smoke in the air from wildfires, and it was really hazy, so the visibility just wasn't that great. We couldn't even see Mount Rainier really. If you're in the area and looking for a really nice view of the Space Needle and the Skyline, this is the spot. It's where all the photos you see of Seattle are taken from. A few years ago, I actually got some really cool photos when there was apocalyptic smoke in the area, which gave the photos an otherworldly look. Unfortunately, the Blue Angels didn't fly the line that I'd seen in older photos and videos, so I didn't get that epic Space Needle shot that I had envisioned. I still got some really cool shots, just not the spectacular one I'd hoped for. I actually think that next year I'm going to try and go up in the Space Needle and see it from there. It would be a really cool perspective. Once we were done at Kerry Park, we made our way over to Lake Washington, and along the way we got lunch at Chipotle. Yep, Chipotle. Don't worry, my stomach was fine. And we also saw a guy on a scooter get hit by a car. He got right back up and kept going. That city's chaos. I don't know if I said this, but it's chaos. And there's crazy people there. There are crazy people in Seattle. So just be careful. Stay safe out there. Once we got to Lake Washington, we had some time to kill, so we just walked around for a little bit, scoping out different spots, trying to figure out where we wanted to shoot from, and the best spot ended up being right up above the tunnel of I-90, because that gave us the best chance of having landlocked shots where the background isn't just sky, it has some terrain, buildings, those types of things. It was a good choice. That's actually one great tip I'll give you if you're trying to do something like this. Try to get up high, where you can have a perspective that's either above the aircraft or right at level, or somewhere where you're going to have a different background than just the sky. Because a lot of air show photos, and even photos at airports, you're mostly looking at the bottom of the plane with blue sky in the background, and that's just been overdone. So try to change it up and get creative and look for a cool background. That's what I do. Hey, Future Trevor here. Sorry to interrupt, but I just had to show you this. I was going through all the footage and I came across this clip that is just so cool, and I had to share it with you. Let's watch it at full speed first. At this speed, it looks like the jet's just going fast and flipping over. But watch when I slow it down. You're able to see things that you just can't with the naked eye. So let's walk through it. So starting out, it's pretty standard straight and level flight. But watch what happens next. The pilot gets the nose up for a split second just before completing the roll. From my understanding, this is to help compensate for the altitude they would lose on the roll. By doing that, it keeps them at the same level once they're upside down. Let's watch it one more time. Anyways, I just thought that was so cool and I wanted to share it with you. Now back to your regular scheduled program. One of the downsides of this spot was the field of view. We had a really small window where they came into view and then went out of view. And we had two trees on either side, so we couldn't really see them coming from either direction, so we kind of had to guess with it and hope that we could track smoothly all the way through it. I still got some really cool shots with it. It was a really cool spot because we were able to capture the Bellevue skyline in the background and the hills on the other side of the lake. They were also right about eye level, so they were flying right in front of us as they came past. I think one of the coolest parts about this spot was when the jets were going out of the show box. We could see them making a hard bank turn, which means one thing: vape. For video, I was shooting 4K 120 FPS for a little bit more flexibility and some more slow-mo fun. It also made it a little bit easier to stabilize the footage because I had something easy to lock onto. To help even more with that though, I would always suggest a tripod with a fluid head. It just makes panning and tracking shots so much smoother and easier. For photos, I was actually playing around with the settings the whole time. I had high, fast shutter speed to freeze all the action, and I also had some where it was a slow shutter speed so I could get some motion blur and show some speed in the image. To be totally honest with you guys, by the end of the day, I was pretty disappointed with the shots I got, especially the ones at Kerry Park. They were just a bit lackluster and our position at Lake Washington wasn't ideal. But after looking through the footage, those ones actually turned out pretty cool. By far, the worst part of the day though, was the heat. It was brutal, not only on your body, but also on the camera and the shots. If you look closely, you can see a lot of heat haze or distortion in the images. Look at the straight lines on the wings or anywhere else on the jets, and you can see it. They're just kind of wavy, and it's just not ideal. But unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that. Really, unless you're shooting on a colder day. It's kind of a fact of shooting in the heat. I was still able to capture some really cool moments, like the Blue Angels skirting the top of the Space Needle and another building with the American flag on top, and even Fat Albert putting on a show. Since I wasn't totally happy with the shots I got and I missed some key moments that I really wanted to capture, I almost went back on Saturday for redemption, but cooler heads prevailed. My girlfriend talked me out of it. So I just decided I'm gonna go back next year and try again. Plus I'm going to Abbotsford this weekend for an air show up there where I get to see the insane F-22 demo and the CF-18 in their 100-year anniversary livery. So I'm really excited about that. Both things I've never seen. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be so cool. The biggest challenge during editing was just dealing with the heat haze. Like I said, it was awful. And I'm a perfectionist, so when I see things like that where a straight line is all wavy, it doesn't make me very happy. Seafair is incredible, and seeing these aircraft perform around Seattle and all the terrain around it is pretty special. If you're an aviation enthusiast, it's a must-see. Just be ready for crowds, be ready for traffic, lots and lots of traffic, and also make sure you wear sunscreen, because I didn't and I paid the price. So learn from my mistakes. Have you ever been to Seafair or any other air show? Let me know in the comments. All right, thanks for joining me on this one. See you in the next one.